Several Republican-led states, including Florida, Kentucky, Idaho, North Dakota, Montana, and Oklahoma, are considering legislation that would ban drag shows in public. Tennessee became the first state to pass such a law last week, and it's raising new questions about what exactly is being made illegal and why. ABC's Brad Mielke, the host of the Start Here podcast, joins me live now for more on this. So, Brad, what exactly does this law do, and what's the debate surrounding it?
It's a short bill in Tennessee. I can actually read you the relevant paragraph. It says, it is an offense for a person to engage in an adult cabaret performance, A, on public property, or B, in a location where the adult cabaret performance could be viewed by a person who's not an adult. So that's it. Adult cabaret performance in a public space, basically, or where any kid is. What's an adult cabaret performance? It says, it includes strip shows or topless acts or go-go dancers. Then it says this, Diana, says, a male or female impersonator who provides entertainment that appeals to a prurient interest. Prurient means like over-sexualized, hypersexual. But that's kind of vague, right? As to, the only thing that's really identifiable there is male or female impersonators. And so that essentially means that there is some sort of a ban on drag in the state of Tennessee. We talked to a drag queen named Bella DeBall who says, in her mind, basically every drag show is considered illegal for a child to see at this point. It's kind of up for debate, but this carries a felony charge with it, up to 6 years in prison.
Now, one of the state senators who sponsored this law says that it just gives confidence to parents that they can take their kids to a public or private show and they're not going to be blindsided by this being a sexual performance. So what's the response to that?
Yeah, so I asked Bella DeBall about this drag performer in Memphis. And I said, I don't think it's crazy to a lot of Americans that, you don't want to be walking around with your kid on a Sunday afternoon and all of a sudden be blindsided by this hypersexualized drag show. And Bella said, well, that's a myth. That's not a thing that actually happens. She already says she has to abide by public decency laws. Kids, unaccompanied minors aren't allowed in shows without a parent with her. So this idea that there are drag queens out there, luring kids in and sullying children in public is just not a thing. She says what is a thing, though, is you do have a lot of trans kids across the country who go to drag shows, see them as their one safe space. And now, in a country where 1 out of 5 trans youths attempts suicide, that's the stat from the Trevor Project. 1 out of 5 trans children has attempted suicide. To a lot of those young people, drag shows are considered one of their safe spaces. So Bella says now you've traded a kind of a mythical risk of kids being sullied by these performances, and you've traded it for a very real risk, which is that you will have more kids who feel like they don't belong and that their lifestyle itself is criminal.
Now, Bella, I know, voiced some concerns about the law potentially targeting transgender or non-binary people just by what they're wearing. What are authorities saying about how this law will be enforced? Because, again, it doesn't specifically say drag shows or dressing in drag is illegal. It's sort of a more general law.
Yeah, that's right. And so people who wrote this law, the sponsors of this bill, will say, we're not trying to ban drag. In fact, one of the lawmakers has said most of the drag shows you've seen are still legal under this law. We're not trying to get rid of Mrs. Doubtfire, that's not illegal right now. And yet some would argue, you might say that, but the moment you put this down on paper and put down something so vague as to say prurient, sexual, it's no longer up to you. It's up to a judge, and it's up to the public on what they think this should actually mean. And so when Bella's not in drag, Bella goes by Slade. Slade is a non-binary person, uses they, them pronouns, and Slade says, I'm worried that when I go into the grocery store and people now see somebody wearing a dress that shouldn't be wearing a dress, the thought is going to go through their mind, oh, is that a female impersonator? It feels sexual to me what this person's doing, so that must be against the law. Throw them in jail. That's the concern for a lot of trans people and non-binary people right now in Tennessee, is that the act of living your life could even be considered criminal because this law is so vague. What is prurient? What is an impersonator? What are these performances considered? Where is the line? And Slade actually told me in this interview, they said, my entire existence feels prurient to some people. My entire existence is trying to be written off, and that's the concern, is that trans people have voiced this concern that they are being made to feel invisible, like they are a danger to society.
Now, I want to shift gears to another story that you covered this week. Ford has applied to patent technology that makes it possible to repossess your car remotely. How does that work?
Shift gears, by the way.
Yeah,
See what you did there?
like that?
I like that very much. So this is wild. So patents get applied for every day, right? Just because a company applies for a patent doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. But it can tell you about where companies are thinking is going to happen in the future. So Ford filed a patent this week that says basically, you know, the repo man. When the repo man comes to take your car, you haven't paid your bills on time. Under the ideas listed in this patent, if you're not paying your bills for your car on time, no longer would the repo man come to your house. Instead, your car might get increasingly annoying to drive. There could be a message sent to your dashboard monitor that says you haven't paid your bills yet. There could be tones that start playing, annoying tones that start playing in your car as you drive, just to make you go like, oh, this is annoying. I should take this. I should pay my bills. Your air conditioning could get turned off. You could get locked out of your car. Remember, cars are no longer just output combustible engines. They also have computers that have inputs. Like a satellite can tell them what to do. And if you had a self-driving car, Diane, under this patent, your car could be told by the bank to drive itself away. You look out your window at your driveway, your car has taken itself to the bank, to the repair shop, or even to the scrap yard if it's not worth any money anymore.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. All right, interesting. I'm excited to hear more about that. Brad Milkey, thank you as always. Always fascinating.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.